Hey, grub is back in the can, and you know what that means. Or maybe you're new here and you're confused why there's a person in a trash can. This is where I tell you about the crafts you can make out of trash. Today, I'll walk you through 8 relatively cheap and easy DIYs that turn something unwanted into whimsical treasure. Let's get into it. Our first piece of trash is the chopsticks that you get with takeout. I've been seeing these pixel bead wall hangings. The beads normally hang from a wooden dowel, so I had the idea of using a chopstick as the wooden dowel. Since we have chopsticks at home, I don't normally use the chopsticks that come with takeout, but this time I did. From what I've seen, these bead tapestries are typically made with like large round beads and a waxy twine. I don't have either of these, so I went to the Dollar Tree to get some pony beads, which I think would work just as well. And I also used embroidery floss, which I already have, instead of a twine. Once I had my supplies, my first step was to sort the beads into color. I wanted to know about how many beads I had of each color so that I could make my design without running out of any of the colors. I designed the pixel art on this website, and then I printed out that design. As you can see, this is not just an untouched chopstick. I first sawed off both ends so that it looks kind of relatively the same size all the way along. And I sanded them smooth so that there weren't any splinters. When it was time to start stringing on the beads, I made a loop at the top and then went bead by bead vertically. Once the column was complete, I had to make a bunch of knots at the bottom to keep the beads from falling off, obviously. Because this string was so thin compared to the holes in the pony beads, I did have to make a lot of knots, and that was probably the most obnoxious part of this process. If you used the twine and beads that people typically use for this project, I think it would have been a little bit easier, but this is what I had, so. Whoa! And then after I'd completed all the columns, I tied a piece of string to either end so that I could hang it up. I also saved the other chopstick and used it for part of another project that we're going to talk about. The second craft uses a slurpee lid to make a Japanese wind chime. This type of Japanese wind chime is bowl-shaped at the top and then has a piece of paper hanging from the bottom that catches in the wind. I love slurpees, so when I saw that people had used slurpee lids to make this type of wind chime, I was down. Since these wind chimes are associated with summer, I wanted to make the top part look kind of like ice cream, so I painted the inside of the lid this nice blue. And then I added some whipped cream at the top using foam clay. It's really light so it doesn't like weigh it down too much. The cherry on top is a big bead that I painted red. The piece of paper at the bottom is just a piece of paper that I drew a little design on, and then I added some beads. Importantly, I secured this flatter bead up here with knots to prevent the slurpee lid from falling down. It like keeps it, higher than the stuff at the bottom. And then the string is just embroidery floss again. I have a lot of embroidery floss. I drew multiple designs for the piece of paper at the bottom, but I landed on this one because I thought it was like gentle and summery. Unlike actual wind chimes, this wind chime that I made doesn't make noise. No matter how much it flops around, the beads don't hit the slurpee lid, but I don't mind. I kind of made it more for the aesthetic. And it does make some noise. The next craft uses a Chipotle bowl lid. I don't know if you're familiar with these lids, but they're made of aluminum. Chipotle's website says that they're made from recycled soda cans, so that's cool. I love Chipotle. It's one of my top comfort foods. So we get it pretty regularly, much to the disdain of my beehole. I always get a bowl and we get it to go, so I get a lid. But I had the idea of using metal embossing to turn the Chipotle lid into something nice. Embossing creates 3D designs on metal sheets. I have never done it before. I embossed the aluminum lid of my Chipotle bowl, and I ended up making this one an ornament. I've never done any kind of embossing before, but what I did was cut out the flat parts of the lid that don't have the logo on it. You can do this with scissors or an X-Acto knife. And then I carved in the design. Like I said, I've never done this before, so I was doing some experimenting with tools to see which ones worked the best. I tried using clay tools, the other chopstick, and a mechanical pencil with the lead retracted. Basically, you need a tool that will indent the metal without cutting all the way through. For some of the lines that I made, I went over it multiple times to make the design more like push out more on the other side. I think you could have a lot of fun just like playing with little sheets of metal and seeing what type of design you can make with different tools. Like I said, I've never done this before, I'm not an expert, and I was just kind of messing around. But it did make a cute little ornament. I made the hole with a hole puncher, and then this is just a ribbon that I cut off something and I've been saving. I didn't punch holes in these other two designs, this deer and this swan. I'm not really sure what to do with them. I could add holes to one of them. The other one has like a sticker that was on the Chipotle lid on the back that I couldn't get off, so I don't know if that would really work as an ornament. But I think they could be used as wall art of some sort. If they were mounted onto something, you could glue them in your journal or on wrapping paper, like on a gift. You could also do this craft with aluminum foil or another type of like thin metal sheet. It doesn't have to be a Chipotle lid. But I think one thing that I learned is that if you're going to do this, you should add extra lines like texture to your design because it really takes advantage of like the medium. And if you're using a Chipotle lid, you're giving that material a third life, apparently, which is very cool. I just saw a hummingbird outside my window. This next craft is very, very fun. It was maybe the craft that I had the most fun with this time around. I've been collecting a bunch of bottle caps. So anything I use up with a bottle cap, I'll keep it. And I also will pick up bottle caps that I find in the world on the ground. And maybe you think that's gross, but I don't think it's gross because I wash it and I wash my hands. So I needed a lot because I wanted to make mini cakes. I had seen some photos of people making mini cakes out of bottle caps and they're just so cute. So I really wanted to make a bunch. To put them together, I first painted the caps. I wanted to use a bunch of pastel colors, and then I glued on gems and rhinestones and pearls and plastic flowers and ribbons to look like the frosting. I spent a whole day decorating these mini cakes. I felt like a baker for fairies. It made me really happy, and I think they turned out amazing. They're so colorful and sparkly and beautiful. Also, each cake has its own personality. My original plan for these mini cakes was to glue them around a mirror. However, I ended up liking them so much that I don't want to do that. First, I want them to be visible from all sides, and if I glued them around a mirror, like you wouldn't be able to see the sides that were touching other cakes. And then also, I'm not a big mirror person. I have a skin picking disorder, so I don't really have like a lot of mirrors in my house, and I don't have them easily accessible. And so I wouldn't want to put all these beautiful cakes around a mirror and then like have to put the mirror up somewhere. I want to be able to see them. I have them lined up in my window right now, and they look perfect. They'd look great on a trinket shelf. I was thinking you could also glue them on a headband for like a very fun look. But do you have any ideas for what we could do with these mini cakes? I think I'll start keeping a collection of bottle caps so that I can make more of these whenever I want. Okay, time to get a little weird. I preserved a Calico Critter. They're actually not preserved. It might be a little cursed. Every time I look at this, I feel a joy I can't explain. And I'm not a sicko, I swear. This is also a super, super easy craft. The jar is a spice jar. I took off the label and the glue by soaking it in a mixture of water and vinegar. Once it was clean, I filled the jar with glycerin, which you can get at a drugstore or a grocery store. It's just this like clear, viscous goo. I think it's used for moisturizer, and other stuff. I don't know. I don't know that much about it. So yeah, when you stick the Calico Critter inside the glycerin in the jar, it looks like it's been preserved. And maybe that's a little morbid, but I enjoy the contrast between the cute and the creepy. You could do this with any jar and any little guy. It doesn't have to be a Calico Critter, it could be any kind of trinket. You also don't have to use glycerin. If you have some hair gel that you aren't using, I think that would work depending on the color and how translucent it is. I originally made this with some old hair gel I don't use anymore, and it looked great. The problem was I wanted to change the color of it, so I added some acrylic paint to make it like an aqua color, and that completely destroyed the transparency of it. It was like totally opaque after I added the paint. So don't do that. I think maybe you could add some food coloring to change the color, but I am not going to promise that because I didn't do that. I didn't want to buy food coloring just for this. I think the clear is great. It's perfect. I give it my can and I love it in here, and it doesn't hurt at all. I'm really into Survivor right now, and I think it would be an interesting challenge if they had to sit in trash cans and see who could last the longest. Our next craft is a bag charm. This is like an infinitely customizable craft idea. The trash element is the string, which I cut off a gift bag. It was like this nice minty color. So I cut it off and saved it, and then I was like, I want to make a bag charm with Zucker from Animal Crossing. He's like an octopus villager. So I made his head as a bead out of clay. And actually this is kind of a twofer, a double doozy, because the stick coming out of his head is actually a used toothpick, not for cleaning teeth. I use toothpicks to like glue little things when I'm crafting. So I had this toothpick lying around. He has a stick coming out of his head because he's meant to look like takoyaki, which is like a Japanese food made from octopus, and he's an octopus. Once I had baked and painted everything and glued this toothpick in here, I added some other beads that I had lying around. Then I tied off the bottom so that the beads wouldn't fall off and added some hardware. Since the string is pretty thick, I needed beads with thick holes, but I had thrifted these beads from the bins. Like, I thrifted this big box of beads, and these were in there, and I thought they were really beautiful, and they have really big holes, so they're perfect for this. You can make a bag charm with any string that you salvage from whatever. Like, I used the handle of a gift bag, but I feel like we encounter all these like types of string in our daily lives and like just cut them off of things and then throw them away, and you can keep them and then use them for bag charms or other crafts. Same goes with ribbon. There will be like ribbons sewed into the inside of a garment. You can cut those off and use those for things. So yeah, just be on the lookout for good string because it's everywhere. And then you can use any type of bead and make any type of bead that you want to go along with the string out of clay. Our next craft is a patch made out of a fabric scrap. I cut this little piece of fabric off of a shirt, and it is too small to do much with, but I wanted to make a patch with it. I ended up making this little Naruto patch. This was a pretty thin and transparent fabric, so I doubled it over and glued it to itself to make it thicker and less see-through. And that was with fabric glue. Then I drew a spiral on it with fabric markers. This was my first attempt, but my fabric markers are kind of neon, and I didn't like how neon the pink was because I wanted it to go on this shirt, which is this light pink floral. I got this shirt from the bins, and it was a turtleneck that I cut the turtleneck off of, and I also cut the bottom. It's really soft, but I wanted to spice it up somehow because it was a little plain for me. I thought that Naruto would be like an interesting contrast with the floral, and also I like spirals. To achieve the softer pink of this version, I actually used Posca paint pens to draw the spiral. That was actually something a viewer, Cedar McLeod, suggested on one of my videos. They said that you can use them on fabric if you heat set it. So I tried that and it looks great. Once I'd drawn the design, I glued the patch to the shirt and then I hand stitched around the edge to keep it in place. So if you have any fabric scraps, I would hold on to them and see if you could maybe make any patches out of them. You don't have to paint on or draw on a design. You could also layer the fabric to make your design in your patch. I always end these videos by talking about junk journaling. One aspect of junk journaling is putting trash, like receipts, tickets, wristbands, tags, fruit stickers, wrappers, into a journal. It's a great way to preserve memories, and it's also just like a really fun and soothing hobby. I love a chance to turn off my brain and work with my hands. Here's my current junk journal. This is my third junk journal, so I really do be liking junk journaling. And all you need to do it is like relatively two-dimensional trash, a journal to put the trash in, a way to cut them up, and a way to stick them down. As always, I hope this video inspires you to look at trash in a new light. Trash can be craft supplies. I also just hope it inspires you to create anything, trash or no. If you're interested, I have 2 other videos about trash crafts. And if you want to see more from me, subscribe. If you subscribe, you become a Grubscriber. I also just started a monthly sticker club called the Grub Club, which you can join on my Patreon. If you join in April, this is the sticker you will receive. I drew this on my iPad. Each month, there will be a new sticker and you can cancel at any time. Anyway, thanks for watching and stay trashy. Oh my